Makes its way across, as you can see, some beautiful sights there here in the Western Cape. Let's get you an understanding of what happens even in higher education. We've been having the basic education discussion as well previously on the show, and we'll hopefully have that a little bit later on. But the academic year for higher education has also begun. So why don't we speak to the Higher Education and Training Minister, that's Buti Manamela, who joins us now in the studio here. Minister, thank you so much for the time. Appreciated. The year has begun. Everything off to a smooth-ish start, considering all the plights, all the issues that had been faced. When you think about new students coming into universities and higher education institutions this year, plus the fact that you have so many other issues at play that still stem from years past. How's it fared so far?
Look, I just came out of a meeting which is every Thursday, which is the Peace at War Room, where we are monitoring the reopening of the academic year 2026. And in the overall, the reopening has been smooth across universities, TVET colleges, and community colleges. But also we, yes, have had some incidents that's relating either to student accommodation or students who still owe, who need to make some arrangements with their university. We are, of course, looking into those specific, issues that, we believe are isolated and are not, beyond resolve. But I think in the overall, we have seen quite a smooth reopening process. Yes, we need to do much more to explain to especially grade 12 students, if you're at home looking forward to study next year, universities are not the only pathway. Yes, our university sector is the largest. This year we're looking at a growth of up to 1.1 million students, closer to 1.2 million students at our universities, more than 500,000 students at our TVET college, and just above 100,000 students at our community colleges. And this is part of ensuring that we're able to grow, the system. So moving forward, that's what we believe we need to emphasize so that students know where is it that they would go once they pass their.
That means a lot of infrastructure development, a lot of funding and investment in those spaces too, and the messaging then completely needs to shift too, to kind of say the kind of jobs you could get, the kind of areas that you could enter based off of that. Is that not a whole fundamental change for you?
No, most definitely. I mean, we have to re-engineer the system. Over the last few months, the president has been preoccupied with the idea of a skills revolution, and what he basically wants to see is that training that happens anywhere in the country has to lead to some form of employment or, a qualification that takes someone, even further. And that's why we're going to be re-engineering, our TVET colleges in particular, and also our community colleges. But importantly, also universities are not absolved for training, students linked to employment. Yeah. So that's one of the things that, we're hoping that, he may focus on that. But you're right also that we have to invest in infrastructure, both physical and, digital. UNISA being one of the largest distance learning institution, we have to put some resources in that to improve the quality of learning and teaching there. Most of the universities have become blended in, learning platforms. Yes. And so we have to encourage that and resource that so that we broaden the opportunities that are available. But importantly, those opportunities have to be linked to skills. And I think, finally on the question of skills, we're going to re-engineer our SETA systems. We think that we can do much more than we've been able to do in the past, also to change the perception that business, that workers, that youth, that everyone in South Africa have about SETA so that they begin to serve their purpose.
Does distance learning, does online learning become an even more key feature now? And not just because we've gone through this revolutionary phase from COVID-19, that is, we've all gotten used to it, but just because it might offer a more diverse learning environment for so many students. It might offer a different learning space for pupils who definitely need it. And of course, there's some that need that one-on-one interaction. Of
course. Look, I mean, we have to build the support that students will need once they get into online learning. We've learned some lessons during COVID. I mean, when I was visiting institutions during COVID, one of the things that fascinated me the most was the fact that the participation rate, that is attendance, was higher than when students had to physically go into the classroom. So we have to build onto those lessons and see how we can better support students who do online learning. It's cheaper. We believe that we can enter into some form of agreement, some of those using legislation, to work together with telecom companies, to make education cheaper and more accessible.
Yeah. I have to ask about this because it's issues like Fort Hare that we saw last year, which could still plague you, could still be of keen issue as well. The rebuilding of Fort Hare and parts of it that were burnt down, how that might be faring, and protests around the country still with regards to accommodation, cheaper, if not free education, as well as NSFAS funding. How are those faring for you right now?
Look, I mean, all over the country where I've gone, where our deputy ministers have gone, we've gotten positive response on the flexibility, the availability, but also the quality of service that the NSFAS has been giving to students, to universities, to TVET colleges, and I really want to applaud them. Yes, there have been some challenges, and we're dealing with those. We've evolved now the accommodation system. Universities are handling those, themselves, and where there are challenges, we make interventions. I'm aware, CPUT, Sol Plaatje, and a couple of other universities.
Both admin and finance, because the finance becomes the issue too there.
Yes, so universities take up the responsibility in terms of quality assurance, NSFAS processes the payment.
Okay.
With regards to TVET colleges, we're developing the capacity for them to be able to handle their own accommodation. I'm aware that there's also an element of criminality, and we really want to call on accommodation providers. There, a significant minority of them who are ill-treating students, who are not giving us better services, who are overcharging, and who are also misrepresenting what they can offer. And we want to challenge communities to help us uproot those kind of ruthlessness. These are state resources that are meant to support students for them to, to succeed. Yes, NSFAS have had its own challenges, but this year, they're making sure that they're paying students on time. They're making sure that they're on the ground, on time, attending to, some of those students. So in the overall, the reopening this year has been, not without crisis, but I think there's an order of stability within the post-school education and training system.
What was it? 3 new universities, I think, over the next year, is it? Or a couple of years, is it? Is that the spectrum? How many new tertiary institutions?
The president is quite ambitious, and I think we should hear him out today. I don't know what's in his mind, but whatever the issue is, we have to push ahead with, building new infrastructure in terms of universities, in terms of TVET colleges, but also in terms of community colleges. Yeah. We cannot be able to absorb the success that we are, reaping from basic education if we do not grow the infrastructure, if we do not multiply, the pathways. And that's what will be our preoccupation the next year or 3.
Yeah. Minister, thank you so much for the time. We've tried to get a clear sense of where things might lie, what is the issues at hand. Of course, the State of the Nation will hopefully deal with some of those as well in your portfolio. So appreciated. That being the Minister of Higher Education and Training, that is Buti Manamela.